All right. Well, yeah, this is our March team meeting, and we are already into spring. So how amazing is that? And with spring comes, typically our spring market, and we're going to talk about what that looks like and all sorts of fun stuff today. We do have a guest that's coming on, and we're just waiting for confirmation that he's here, and that's Scott Leroy. And many of us have used Scott's services in the past, whether it's just getting some questions answered or his training, and we're excited to be in partnership with Scott for the last year or so, right, Marv? It's been at least over a year now.
Yeah, it was just over a year ago we made that decision to invest in that for everyone, and yeah, I think it's been wonderful. He does a fantastic job. I don't know how he can be so responsive, you know what I mean, but he consistently is. So it's been great.
Very good. Yeah, and I was just looking again yesterday at the different services that they provide, and I know he'll get into it. But not only do they have training, but they do have some specific support services if you're looking for, especially on KW Command side,
Mm.
and everything from loading your database in or fine tuning that database, and of course the email campaigns, everything. Anyways, I'll let him talk about all that when Scott joins us, and but it is a fantastic service. So what else are we going to be talking about today? We got a new segment called Winners, and that's Jen Silvernagle. She's going to take that on and share with us, just some different mindset around working our business, either working in our business or working on our business, and both are incredibly important. So Jen's going to be covering that. Of course, Marv's here, and that means IMS stats and everything else that goes into all the hard work that you're doing as agents. And Marv will shed some light on that. Christine's again sharing some broker bits, and I know just yesterday something new came up, and she was excited to share with that this morning on our meeting that we have as an office every morning. So she's going to take some time and go through some of the new things that we're working through with everyone today in the broker bits. And of course, our award winners, we can't forget that. And we've invited Charity. Many of you know Charity, and she's our in-house mortgage broker. She's going to come on screen with me, and I've got some questions. We're going to do a little interview style
Oh,
and
sure.
get to know Charity that way a bit better. Not only get to know her better, but what she's doing to support our clients, because that's really obviously that's the most important piece. And then I'm going to finish off with the heartbeat of the market. We haven't done that for some time. We like to do that maybe once a quarter, and just to shed some light on what is going on in the market. And I got some interesting numbers actually this time around. I was a little bit surprised compared this year over last year. We'll get into that. Very good. Okay, I got a message right from Scott, and he's here, so that's good news. Our awards gala, Marv, we had this 2 weeks ago, and we, as I said earlier, we led off with that slideshow of everybody, and we got tremendous feedback from it. I was so honored to host it, and I know Marv was very proud of all of you as agents and your amazing success. If you haven't watched it, I urge you, you can see the website or the URL link at the bottom there. I urge you to watch it because, yes, we're celebrating our agents, but I think more importantly, this year, we got to celebrate some amazing KWRC culture stories. And if you haven't had the opportunity, watch them. It was pretty amazing. And we put these stories together, as we mentioned on the gala, to highlight some pretty amazing things, but most importantly, to inspire others. So do take the time to watch that. I truly do believe you will be inspired to, do more than what you already are doing in your local communities, or perhaps it gives you some different ideas of the things that you can do, which is pretty amazing. So do take a peek at that, and and get obviously kudos to those that what I'm trying to took part in those videos. So thanks for that again. Very good. Okay, moving on. Well, I'm going to introduce Scott. Scott, if you're ready to unmute yourself, and I can certainly pin you to the top here. But we have been, as Marv mentioned, we have been working with Scott for just over a year now, and he's been a tremendous resource for us as an office because Scott's services helped us to onboard agents, but more importantly, what does that look like from an ongoing support into KW Command and some of the other things from a technical standpoint that we may not have the answers, but I know Scott and his team does. So Scott, if you're with us, a happy pleasure to have you on online with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So it was so funny. Right when I hopped on, I heard y'all talking about importing databases and response time, and I was like, oh, I was like, someone else must be doing this. And I heard our name come up, and I was like, oh, they're talking about us. Never mind. So that was awesome. So, well, perfect. Well, thank you for having me on here. So I really just wanted to kind of go over it and basically kind of talk about, who we are and the devilishly handsome person on the screen right there too. I always love seeing, I need to get a new headshot. That one's coming up on 60 years old now. I feel bad saying that. So, but we're really here to kind of help with pretty much all of your KV technology. We're really here to make your life that much simpler for you. So I'm going to flip everything around real quick because there's a couple things I'm going to show. Actually, if it's possible to allow me to screen share, that'd be awesome, and I can show a couple things on here for you guys.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
really, oh, thank you. So the way I always kind of describe everything on here is that we're really, think of us as an extra kind of person in the office, an extra tech coordinator, an extra, staff member to help out with all of your kitty technology. So our goal at the end of the day is really to kind of alleviate all these items from your plate to make everything that much simpler for you. So the first part obviously is definitely where we can go through and really kind of, help with that onboarding facet. So there's a bunch of items that are accessible for you, and I think the screen sharing might still be disabled on here.
Yeah, I just said, sorry, Scott. I just sent a message to Lori. She's going to set that up for us.
You're all good. Don't even worry about it. So the first part, and I'll put it inside our chat section, is definitely all of our onboarding that may help out. So I'm going to put this in as well of how you can actually access our entire site on here and what the password will be for everything possible. But really, the first part is that onboarding process. And what I always kind of say for agents is onboarding really isn't just for agents to kind of join anymore. It's really for all agents because so much is consistently changing at the end of the day that it's always nice to, just kind of say, hey, as of March 24th, do I have the most up-to-date tools accessible to utilize? So we do have a command-specific one that actually will help out tremendously on here that I would highly suggest everyone to take a look at. Because this will allow us to really go through and basically act as if you're starting brand new today and really to go through and optimize everything possible. So we'll basically go through the back end and say, hey, what may be missing? What's new that we can actually get up and running? All the additional items to make everything that much simpler for you. Now, beyond that, we also happen to have all of our training classes that are available to you Monday through Friday. So every Monday through Friday, we always say right at 1 p.m. Eastern time, all of our classes occur and they really kind of go over all the different options that are accessible on the KW Command platform and all the Keller Cloud tools too. So at the end of the day, this sorry, I just saw multiple people hop inside the same frame over there. That's awesome. So at the end of the day, this will help out tremendously where really you can kind of see all the different items that are accessible for you, how to use everything, and really all the additional tools that we can actually walk you through how to utilize. So slmwebinar.com, I just put inside our chat section. That's where you can access all of our live training classes. And then slmtraining.com is where you can view all of our pre-recorded training classes. And we have courses on, DocuSign. We have classes on database management. We have courses over on marketing, on how everything is located inside the command platform. We have stuff as well about, opportunities, smart plans. We had a class recently on Facebook ads. So we have a little bit of anything and everything that's accessible for y'all. And thank you so much. It looks like it just popped up on here. So this is perfect. So once you actually sign inside on here, this is that KW resources section that'll allow you to access everything possible. So this is the onboarding questionnaire I was telling y'all about, where we have our command questionnaire and our existing agent one. And then also where you can access those live webinars on here too. Now, beyond the live webinars, we also have all of our training classes. So if you want to see what class is coming up for the month, what's actually going to be entailed inside each course, this will basically have a 1 to 2 sentence overview of everything that's going to be happening. So I always like to say on here, feel free to take a look at everything and see if there's any classes you want to join for the live portion, or you can always come back and re-access them 24/7 as well too. So they're all recorded, but obviously if you come to the live class, feel free to ask questions. That is what we're here for, to help out immediately. And I always say when agents and even staff members will ask, hey, there's obviously a bunch of webinars that are accessible now, are yours any different than what we might be able to find over here? And I always say the way that we line up our classes, it's kind of like the old Bob Ross show, if y'all remember that one, of the person that paints. So basically where he's painting and then you're painting along with him, I always say that's kind of the same scenario of what we do, because we're screen sharing the whole time. And it's really meant for you to kind of do it along with us as well. So not only are we going to train you on everything, but we want you to kind of get an idea of how you can actually utilize all of that further too. And if you aren't able to make it to our live training class, no worries. We have everything recorded 24/7 on here, so you can access any of them at any time. So on here, if you want to come back and rewatch any of our classes, I always sound a little weird when I say this, but they're chronologically organized and alphabetically organized. So you can actually go through and see the classes alphabetically on here. But once you click on the type of class, it'll actually have it chronologically organized for you to see the most recent version immediately. And we always put the date of our class inside the title. So that way, if we had like a campaigns class yesterday, for instance, then it might say something like campaigns 101-3/23. So that way you'll be able to find everything immediately on here. Now, beyond that, we also happen to have free support for y'all too. So I know at the beginning of the team meeting, this was brought up as well when I hopped on, so that was perfect segue for it. So we have a bunch of different items that are accessible for you, whether it's items purely on command. So if you're just looking for help getting commands set up, setting up DocuSign, setting up smart plans, or linking PySync to sync over. And without a doubt, we do help with importing databases on here too. So feel free to reach out at any time and say, hey, here's our CSV file, here's my VCF file, my numbers file, geez, my Excel file, and we can get that reformatted and imported immediately for you. So we have services purely on command, items purely on kind of the Keller Cloud platform. So if you need help completing your profile, setting up a Facebook pixel on your command site. If you want to host your open house, you want to make sure it's pushing out everywhere. We can even help to go through and update your bio, your email, your headshot, your office information, your phone number, your social media links. So we have a bunch of different items that are accessible for you. And the best part is all these are completely complimentary. So if you fill out any of these forms on here, or if you reach out to us and say, hey, I'm having an open house this weekend, I want to make a landing page, we can help to create that. And then I also want to make a QR code, we can help to do that too. All right, so there's all these items that are accessible for you. And the best part is it's not going to cost you anything. So that's the one part I always like to highlight on here. And then we even have K2B email services. And my favorite part to talk about is definitely the website services. So if you want to kind of spruce up your site a little bit further, we can actually help with all those items. So if you want to add inside testimonials, if you want to add in a download app page, if you want to move your domain over or feature your listings, you don't have to worry about doing that. We can take all that off your plate and do everything for you to help out on here. So these are all accessible just to make your life a little bit easier at the end of the day. And then beyond just kind of the support services on here, and I'll put that inside our chat section too. I apologize, I got into the screen sharing mode and I forgot to put this over in the chat section, so I'm so sorry about that. All right, so this is where you can access our support. And then of course on here, we also happen to have our templates I'll talk about in a second too. And feel free to reach out to us as well. So I'll need to look this up. I don't have it memorized, so I apologize. We have two phone numbers, one that is a 321 phone number, but then we also have a toll-free phone number that I don't have memorized. Let me see if I can find that real quick for y'all. I apologize. I always like to give out both of them just to be safe at the end of the day. But our email support and our phone support is accessible for you, so please feel free to reach out. We are here to kind of help out with all your kitty technology, all of your tools. Thank you. I was just about to, well, I'm going to paste it in anyway. So there you go. As I say, you beat me to the punch. So we do have that accessible as well. And then extension 5 will go right over to our phone support to kind of help out immediately on there. So please feel free to reach out at any time. That's what we're here for. And I always say our hours of operation, we kind of base it around the KWRI kind of hours at the end of the day to make everything a little bit simpler. So that way, it's kind of the same to make everything easier for you. Now, our email support is the one thing that I will say at the end of the day, really isn't, all around that. So in this case, even though we're technically, open for phone support from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time, and for our email support from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time to kind of mimic the KWRI's 9 to 5 Central time, I will say our email support is really more of when the first person gets on to when the last person leaves, and anywhere between on there. So we are working around the clock over here. Last night I left at, I think, 12:08 a.m. is when I stopped working. And then this morning when I got on at 7:30 a.m., there were people that were on after me and before me too. So we have some crazy people that work weird hours over here, even weirder than my hour. So that's all available for you. So even if you have any questions, issues, or concerns, feel free to reach out and let us know, how we can help out. We can help out with anything and everything on there. And then also feel free to take advantage of all of our digital marketing templates. So I always say these are kind of our easy cheesy templates on here. So I appreciate the comment that just came through. That was amazing. So we do have some easy cheesy kind of templates on here that are accessible. So that way you can access any of them immediately. And I always like to point out that we do have email signatures. That's easily the #1 item that agents will take a look at on here. And if I can, I always say this whenever I show these on here, if I can give anyone any advice, the #1 advice I'd be is if anyone is ever going to make any templates, don't give them your headshot to use as the stock photo. Find a different one, because then when you realize that the photo is 6 years old, you have to change 1,000 templates individually. So use a different photo instead. But these are all accessible for you to utilize on here. And you can click the file option and go through and click on make a copy, and you'll own a copy of everything possible on here. And then that way you can update, a newer headshot to display, or you can add inside your information, your logo, your office info. And even though this says it's for email signatures, you can really use it for anything. We've had agents come on and say, hey, we love your email signatures. I used it for a Facebook ad to kind of announce that I'm now with KW, or we actually use this and I put it on my website. So feel free to take advantage of all those items and really utilize everything possible. So at the end of the day, think of us as really an extra staff member to help out with everything possible, continued technology. We're here to make your life that much simpler, and let us know if you ever need anything at all. We are, yes, thank you. That was the other thing. Make sure all the templates are compliant on there too. That's the big thing. But please feel free to reach out to any of us if you ever need anything at all. And just let us know. We can help out. We're here to help with all the cable technology to make your life that much simpler.
I appreciate that, Scott. That's tremendous. As you can see, it's just, it's not a support service. It's much more than that. They're offering a tremendous amount of resources. So I appreciate that, Scott, and appreciate you coming on and sharing that with us. And yeah, mind blowing. There's some of the comments coming through here. Yeah, dive into it, because sometimes you got to go back every couple of months or sooner to see all the new updates. And this is a great way, as Scott showed us, how to stay up to date with the different things that we can do within Command. Command is so powerful, yet I know most of us only kind of, play on the surface, and using Scott's training, you can get really deep into how that can benefit us and leverage that. So not only leverage Command, leverage Scott and his support team. Awesome stuff, Scott. Thank you for joining us today.
No, thank you so much. If y'all ever need anything, just let us know. But have a great day today.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.
That guy's always so happy. Have you noticed? He's always so happy. He's awesome. He does a great job.
Yeah, really does. Really, really does. And I know you let off earlier with, you can't believe how fast his response time is. It's true. Every time we have a request, he's right there, or someone from his team is right there. It's been great. Good stuff.
For sure.
Well, Marv, we've had a lot of people join us over the last few weeks, and we have more in the pipeline too. So a special welcome, as you can see on screen, to Crystal, Marcello, Matizes, Eula, Joshua, Dwight, and Belinda. And we do have more in the pipeline, but a big welcome to you, as you see on screen here. And this is one of the times where you can kind of feel like that big community. And I know a lot of the agents here are being connected within Jen Silbernagel's career launch program. So make sure you take big advantage of that. That will help create those that community right away. And she's got calls every day. So make sure you get dialed into that for sure. Good stuff.
how did you get Jimmy Fallon? How did you get him to do this? This is amazing.
Yeah, it's not what you know sometimes, Marv, it's who you know.
That's awesome. Very good. Checking.
Yeah.
Good.
No, good questions. Keeping me on my toes. I like it.
Okay.
Very good. Well, Marv, I'm glad you're on screen with us. So let me just get some couple things set up. I'll click through the slides as you prompt me. And I know you've been putting together our IMS stats now for a number of years, and you'll tell us in a moment. Use these in your listing presentations. Use this information to educate not only yourself, but more importantly, your clients. Over to you, Marv.
Thank you. Before we get into this, what I want to state is that we are going to be switching companies. We've already hired a different company called RE Datum or Redatum, which is miles ahead of the service that's been the only service available to us for forever, and a lot of companies are switching over. So we're hoping to be able to bring you even more analysis. I'm not familiar with the new program yet. Gary's gone through the initial training. So we're going to spend some time between now and next month, and hopefully next month we'll have even better stats in terms of more information in different areas that we aren't able to really extrapolate from the current provider. So stay tuned for that. It should be good, I think. All right, let's take a look. Let's see what we got. All right, this is all of the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. And what it's showing is a percentage of sold versus asked. Of all 57,000 agents, Keller Williams is number one. So we are averaging in the month of, this is actually year to date, but for February, 109.98% of asking. I mean, that's quite incredible. It shows what's going on in the marketplace all the way down to 103.65. So 110%, I mean, that's miles above. And what you might want to take a note of is this. If at large, we're averaging over 2% more than Remax and near 3% more than Sutton Group, why should commission be a problem? When you can show that we're getting you 2 or 3% more right across the board, it's got to be used to help you maintain your commission levels. It's a great tool if we use it that way. What are your thoughts, Gary?
I'm glad you said that. That was the first place my mind went to. That is that should solidify any commission objection handling right there.
Right there, exactly. So it's a pretty exciting slide. Let's take a look at the next one. So this is days on market, and I've said this for many years, as you may recall. There's a direct correlation between days on market and price. So here you can see we're not only selling for the most amount of money, but in the fastest amount of time. And it's not even just price. I mean, when people are bundling up their kids, getting them out of the house, taking their dog out, all that kind of stuff to be prepared for showings, every day feels like a week. So that's the way I would explain this. When you're 2 weeks faster than one of the competitors at the bottom of the chart, or even a day or two faster, it makes a difference. And I would argue that out of those 14.6 days, probably 7 to 10 of them are off the market in terms of holding offers. So really, we're selling probably on average in 4 days, something like that. All right, let's see what we got next. This is, again, all of the Toronto Real Estate Board, and we're typically neck and neck with Remax. It fluctuates back and forth throughout the year. Last few years, we have finished first. This is showing productivity per agent. So it's not as if we're just hitting those numbers with mass numbers. We're actually on a per agent basis, definitely outperforming almost every company, and typically speaking, every company. That's right. Okay, new market. So this is sold versus asked. So you can see all the companies there. We show everything, good, bad, and different. This is all a good news story. I mean, we're at 107%, and that's good enough for the middle of the pack. Quite interesting, right? So this is what's happening. It's obviously a great seller's market, and you can see the numbers that are happening in new market. Let's take a look at the next one.
Marv, if I may too, like some of these numbers, 109, 112%, if you really wanted to do some more research or dig a little deeper, perhaps those listings were listed well below market value to generate that high price. So understand what you're always up against when you're doing your CMAs as well.
Yeah, and actually to really give you greater insight into this chart, you'll notice that none of the companies above us in terms of percentage of sold versus asked
are above us in market share. So if you do less transactions, you have a greater likelihood of a higher percentage in this area. So that's kind of how that needs to be interpreted as well. But your point's correct. Let's take a look at the next one. So this is actual market share. So in January, we had a bit of an anomaly. We were in second position. We've been in first for a number of years. We've now moved ahead of Right at Home Realty to be first in market share in new market. You know, it's a competitive market out there. So we are first. It's not the gap that we're accustomed to. I fully intend on us increasing this gap. But you can see where this all stands. We are back in first position. Great job, everybody. Aurora. So sold versus asked. We sell for more money. Look at that. 3.5% more than the nearest competitor. And that's a big number. 5% more than Royal LePage, 6% more than Remax. Again, if you're going on listings in Aurora, I think you know what you need to do. Show them the chart. This is awesome for us. Gary, any thoughts on that at all? Or?
Oh yeah, it is awesome. Well, that's just it. You want to really solidify that market share and the amount of commission that you're bringing to the table. There's value in that, and the value that you're bringing will far outpace you know, a percentage point or more, if you will, on your commission. You'll far outpace the market on that.
Exactly. They're going to net way more money. So I like that the consumer is interested in netting the most amount of money, but they seem to often confuse that with how much they're paying the realtor. They're two totally different things. Quite often, the old adage of, you know, you get what you pay for kicks into place here, and pay a little bit more to use a qualified company like us, and those are the results. You'll net more money. And again, time and money, the results are synonymous in most cases. Look at the days on market, 8.3. And if you're holding offers for 5 to 7 days, it's more like 1.3.
I know, Mark. Yeah. And I know for the last couple of years, we've been saying, you know, we are taking market share in the Aurora area. That's a newer location for us, if you will, compared to Newmarket and Georgina. And the last time I looked, which was about a week or two ago, the top 10 realtors by production and volume in Aurora, I think 6 of them were KWRC. We're from KWRC.
Happening. Yeah. All we need now is, like always, just keep getting more great people.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite exciting what we're doing. It's a great point, Gary. Let's take a look at the next slide. So this is market share. Now, we are in fourth position right now in Aurora in market share. And even at that, 1 in every 5 homes we're selling, 20%. So you can see it's a very, very tight pack. Surprisingly, a lot of people might find that Home Life is currently in the top position there. They have been creeping up in Aurora for some time. They have a big portion of the Asian market that buys in Aurora. And that's, you know, part of the stranglehold that they have. But it's very evenly spread out between the top 4. So you can see that after that, the remaining market in totality is only 8%. So imagine that 92% of the market is spread amongst 4 companies. Very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Okay, but productivity per agent, we have been number 1 there for a long time. Again, I don't know, Sutton Group doesn't have a big presence there. However, they've just edged us out in productivity per agent right now. So, but again, we're very productive with the agents that we have in Aurora. Let's take a look at the next one. Okay, Georgina. Interesting. This is how the market spreads out. Georgina is a little bit of a different animal in terms of market share. So we're sitting at 6.22% of the market. What I would draw your attention to is the very bottom of the chart that says all others, 38.28%. So what that's telling us is that there's a lot of transient business going on in Georgina. People are coming up from areas outside of Georgina and listing properties. It's becoming more attractive for them to do that because properties are selling so quickly and for so much more money. And the market share that typically was spread out amongst 3 or 4 of us is collectively now being spread out amongst some others. This will regulate as the market regulates. That's what's going to happen. But the big message on this chart is the 38.28%. Okay.
East Gwill. Let's take a look at sold versus asked. Quite interesting. A very similar result. We're at almost 110%. Can you imagine, of asking price, good enough to be in the middle of the pack? But the numbers are all grouped quite closely. I mean, those are some big numbers. And that's telling you that East Gwillimbury is a really hot market right now. Very, very hot market. Interesting. Days on market. Look at this. And we picked some key things from each municipality that we thought would be really cool talking points. Look at the days on market in Bradford, West Gwillimbury. That is incredible. So I can only guess that with 3.3, 4.5, 7.5, numbers like that, it's either that bully offers are getting through, so it's less days on market, or maybe they're not holding offers as much in Bradford, West Gwillimbury. That's a possibility too, but that's super fast, and that's something to take note of. So again, this may help you in your approach when you're listing in some of these municipalities. You can see what's going on at large, and you can interpret that as you see fit to better position yourself and your clients to succeed. So that's what these are for, right? It's pretty cool.
Very good. Well, that's it for the slides, Marvin. And I'd like to get your take on this too. One of our agents asked the other day for some stats in an area, quite frankly, that we don't have a large presence in. And of course, that happens from time to time. Sure. And what I did was refer them to our Toronto real estate stats. And just as you led off there, and I think that's important as a brokers wide, we need to remember to leverage not only our brokers, but our brand, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm. I think that that's just exactly it. So, you know, some areas are like one of the things that we're having some issues with our current statistics provider is really pinpointing local brokerage stats. So as an example, Right at Home Realty, all Right at Home locations filter into those stats. We can't pinpoint Right at Home Realty just Newmarket because it's all the same name. So for example, we have Keller Williams Realty Centers, or an example would be maybe, you know, there's Royal LePage RCR in Newmarket and Royal LePage York Community in Aurora. We can differentiate those. But when you have all of the Right at Home Realty locations filtering into one, their stats appear differently than ours. They're combined. So what I believe the new program is going to allow us to do is really dig down based on address and really get even a better view. I'm excited to see, because, you know, it is what it is, but I believe we're actually even doing better than these charts show. That's my speculation.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. And these stats are important. And I know not everybody is the stat wizard or what have you. And that's why Marv puts them together for us every month and does this overview, if you will. And you'd be surprised, you know, when you start doing some of your own homework, and I do encourage you to do some of your own homework here, because when you get to do it yourself, you get to memorize it far better than just us spewing you information, even though it's highly important. And you'd be surprised what you do remember when talking to your clients, when you get to get that some of that info of your for yourselves. So this is fantastic. Yeah, Mary, thank you. She's already uploaded all these stats to MyKW, and we do appreciate that, Mary. So they are always there under the stats page, and you can go back and even look at our previous months to see how we fared over time as well. Marv, as always, thanks again, and thanks for your leadership in this. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, I'm going to invite Jen to come on screen with us. And Jen and I were talking yesterday, and we're looking at perhaps, you know, doing some different things with this time slot and how to bring value to our agents. And we thought this is a really great way to do it. And this is something that she does with her coaching clients very often. And now, you know, let's present that to the brokers. Why? Jen, are you with us?
I am, Gary. How's it going?
Very good. So what do you got for us today, Jen?
Yeah, so what I was thinking I wanted to start off with, and thanks for having me and letting me do this. It's more fun than just talking about the coaching programs. What I wanted to start out with was talking about how we present value to our clients when we're having conversations with them. And the reason for that is because this is coming up a lot in the coaching conversations that I'm having with our advanced guys, as well as our new guys, our PC agents. And I think it's an important discussion to have with everybody, and to understand what that looks like. And what we're seeing a lot is conversations around cutting commission, conversations around battling virtual brokerages, conversations around a lot of different competitive areas. And something that agents are struggling with is, how do I position myself differently? How do I stand out against those types of competitors? And the simple answer to that is know your value, right? And what that starts with is having your value proposition. And to dig a little deeper on that, it's not just knowing what your mission statement is or what your vision is, but it's also knowing your brand. And I think that when we really dig into this at a higher level, and if I was coaching you, what I would say is the first place to start is to envision what you want your business to look like, and to understand who you are as an agent and what your brand is. What are you actually selling when you show up to a listing appointment or a buyer consultation? Who are you, and who do you want your clients to be? Start with that and develop that client avatar. And what I mean by that is define that client. If you're a younger agent, for example, your demographic, your target demographic might be first time buyers. It might be seniors, right? And we talk about this and we joke about this a lot. Seniors love younger agents because they want to support somebody new in the industry, and they give a lot of opportunities that some other people won't give you as a younger or newer agent. So that maybe might be a good target for you to think about. It doesn't matter what that target is. The point is, acknowledge who it is you want to work with. And if you want a quick way to figure out how to know that, think about the past 3 or 4 deals you've done, or even the past year worth of transactions if you've done that much business, and think about the clients you loved working with. The ones where you truly enjoyed the experience. You enjoyed how they interacted with you, how they communicated, how you communicated. You got referrals from them, you built clients for life, and it was natural and it was a more organic experience. That's your niche, that's your target market. So hone in on that, and then figure out how it is you get yourself in front of more people like that. And when you understand what your brand is and who it is that you want to support, then you start figuring out, okay, now how do I market to those people, and how do I build a business model around that? So what that could look like, don't get me wrong, I'm not coaching you to not work with the other opportunities that show up in your world. Of course, we're going to take that business, or think about what that leverage system might look like in your business if you don't want to do it. So for example, if you're getting a lot of business in Bowmanville and Clarington, in areas that you don't want to drive to, create a referral partner in that pocket and send them that business, so you can spend your time in your value areas working with the people that you want in the pockets that you love. And what happens when you have all of that clarity, you have it outlined, and you have a clear system, when you show up to present at that table, you believe so much in what you're saying that your clients across the table from you, they buy into it as well. And I say buy in because it's the easy language. That's not what I mean. It's just obvious that you're passionate about it. It's obvious that you're going to do the best job. It's obvious that you're the professional, that you're knowledgeable, you know the market, you know how to position yourself, you know how to position them, and you can sell that to them at a higher level. And that will actually help you eliminate some of those questions around commission as well. And people never believe me when I say this, but I actually know it to be true because I've done it. I've done it a bunch of times. And I know Marv shares this in his listing classes as well. When you can outline the services you provide and you can validate why they're important and why it's important that you bring them and how you bring them to the table and educate the person on that, they're not going to question the value you provide. They're going to go, I want to work with you, and I'm going to pay what it takes. Now, there are certain areas, certain demographics, certain pockets. I always have to put this caveat in where that's not going to be the case, because the market is the market, and there are different pockets where that applies. But if you know your market, you know that already. You know what the competition is doing. You know what you need to look like and how it needs to be, right? So position yourself strategically based on your brand, based on your vision and your client avatars, and structure your business in a way that when you walk into that listing presentation, you give that client not only everything they want to hear, but you explain to them why. And that's where the value lies. It's in that why piece that most people miss. And if you can do that, you'll walk away with way more listings than you're currently converting. And you'll be more confident in your conversation because you'll understand why you're saying what you're saying. It'll connect at a higher level. And when you get that level of connection, the results just start to show up. Then you get the benefit of leveraging out any of the business you don't want. On our KWRC TV call yesterday, Terry was talking about how she's passionate about waterfront properties and she only wants to do that. Well, she got so clear on her systems and her models, and her business got so big, she now gets to do that. She gets to only work those properties and leverage out all of the rest and still benefit from that in the team model. And that's a huge example of this at a big scale, although Terry actually did it quite quickly and very efficiently. However, you know, that is an example of that leverage that we're talking about. It's just thinking about it differently, but it's also stop trying to be everybody, build your brand, get clear on your value, get clear on your purpose and who you're passionate with, working with, and then focus on that. And everything else as it shows up, leverage it out or build a team around it, depending on the opportunity, if you want to do that. But that would be my winner mindset feedback for today, Gare. Yeah, I hope that was informative. I don't know if that's what you were looking for, but I think it was helpful. And my goal is to kind of keep bringing little value nuggets like this for all of our team meetings going forward.
Jen, that was amazing. That might have been my favorite segment you've ever done.
Oh,
Thank
thanks.
you.
You're welcome.
It was been, so I wrote some notes down, and and some of this we've heard it before. However, just the way you presented it, Jen, was incredibly impactful. Of course, you know, we got to know our brand or our niche, what you want what you want your business to look like. And I think this is a big one because we never really think about this, is define the client, define our perfect client. Who do we want to work with? Because that's where we're going to see most success, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's where we're going to find the most joy in our business, right? Even on a bad day, if you like the person you're representing, it's a lot more fun, right?
Truer words have never been said.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. And then I love it how you kind of ended it off. Of course, know your why, explain the why. And then I wrote down here how to, figure out how to get myself in front of more people that, that favorite client, that perfect client. Jen, that was fantastic. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Very good. Yeah.
One thing Jen said really well too is I've always said that in the absence of value, everything seems expensive. But what you added on to that was it's important to convey that value, to be able to articulate it. So you may know your value, but you have to make sure the client does too, right?
Yeah.
If they can wrap their minds around what's in it for them and how they'll benefit, that's when value becomes more important than commission for your client base, right? So you have to figure out a way to really explain that and express it. And I think that was a really good point too. By the way, Shalina just said I have a great tan. You got all these great positive remarks. I just got great tan. That's all I got. You got all kinds of positive remarks. Jen's so awesome. Great tan. That's it.
Marvin, I had to throw that shade in. I'm sorry, bro. But you're the only one. Look at Jason and I. I mean, Jason was going on about being Indian. I mean, I don't see the tan to you. But anyways.
So funny. Oh my God.
I love it. It is a good tan, Marv.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, Jen, again, thanks again. And yeah, look, we have, and the great part is, and Jen mentioned it, and we're going to mention it again a little bit later, but on our live streams on Tuesday, Jen has that platform and she does it so well. So tune in if you haven't watched us live at 2:30 on Tuesdays, or certainly go back and watch the replay. She's got great, mic drop moments just like that over and over again. Good stuff. All right, moving on. Okay, family reunion. Let's talk about this real fast. And this was pretty amazing. I know a lot of us were a part of family reunion this year. And here's kind of the most recent numbers that came in. Just shy of 50,000 attendance, which is unbelievable. I think it was the largest real estate conference ever to be held. And of course, it was fantastic. Over 355,000 different streams, 34,000 one-on-one interactions. So you actually had an opportunity to meet other people one-on-one. And this was really cool. So you see $104,000 donated for KW Cares. Do you know what their goal was? Their goal was 25,000. And they blew that, like they quadrupled that. So a tremendous thank you to everyone that donated for that. And that's something. And as we heard on the gala, it really does affect people in such a positive way, and watch, I'll point it out, watch the story that Stephanie shared. That's where sometimes the KW Care donations go to. So that was really cool. And so if you have the membership for Family Reunion, everything is now posted online. It has been for now a couple of weeks. And when you log into the homepage, you'll see this. You can go right to that video library. There's countless videos there, sessions there, and there were some fantastic ones. If you want to kind of a recap, I should have it off the top of my head, but Jen and I did one about 2 weeks ago at KWRC TV, where we kind of highlighted a few that perhaps you would be interested in. So that's how you get to that. As well as that, for just about every session, there's a download, so you can follow along with the speaker's notes. And I found that really helpful as well. The other cool thing too here, if you go to this URL at the bottom there, mykwrc.ca /FR 2021, that'll take you to a KW website where they have already curated some of the content for us already. And this is public facing. So if you had a colleague that you wanted to share some information with, you can certainly do that. And it's everything from some of the vision speech that Gary Keller presented. It's some of the other information there too, but do check that out. It's actually a really great resource. Quite honestly, I didn't know it existed until the other day, and I was going through it, and I found it really, really impactful and of course, packed with great information. And yes, stay tuned for Family Reunion 2022. I can't even say that. 2022. That's mind blowing that we're already talking about 2022. But that's how you can stay up to date with the latest news on Family Reunion next year. Of course, between now and then, we'll have Mega Camp, which is typically late August. So obviously, stay tuned for that as well. Okay, so let's get to the part where we get to celebrate our agents and our agent success over the last month, or the month of February. And we've had some tremendous success. And to start off with, I always love celebrating this, and that's some KWRC firsts. And this is the one thing that Stephanie is always make sure that I get. And here's our agents that took their first closings in the month of February. And you can see it on here: Alex Campbell, Jimmy Ho, Raya Laposa, and Tony Reale. Congratulations to you. That's just the first of many. I am very, very positive of that. Yeah, congrats. And then who took their first listings? This is always fantastic: Christina Irwin, Haley MacArthur. Haley, I just got word that you just did a huge listing out a waterfront listing. So double thumbs up to you. That's amazing. Jesse Lee Evans and Justine Costa, congratulations. I remember, you never forget your first. I'll leave it like that. It's always one that will stick in your memory for a long, long time, for sure. Gross commission, top individuals for February. As you can see the names on the screen here: Michael, Kirby, John, Stuart, Paul, Brian, Gail, Tony, Leslie, and Frank. Congratulations to you. Michael Dinner, you are blowing it out of the water in this first quarter. Congratulations to you, my friend. And of course, written business. This is amazing. So you'll see some of the names, if you remember, for gross commission. That meant the business that they wrote in November, December, January was closing in February. We see some of the names here as well for written business. This is future business. So Michael, Michelle, Wasim, Paul, Stuart, Kirby, Dina, Drew, Vincent, and Wayne. I can tell you that it has been a tremendous month, and you'll see some of those numbers come in as we look at the heartbeat stats, but amazing stuff here. Moving on to our top groups. So congratulations to our top groups for gross commission in the month of February. You got the Terry Hastings team, the Paroff team, the Volpe Alcorn team. Now I get to talk to them just about every day. They are killing it, and some tremendous momentum around their business and the rest of our business at the office here as well. The Silbernagle team, thumbs up to you. The Campbell team and the Alexander group, congratulations for everybody for a great month. Written business for our top teams and groups. The Terry Hastings team, again, the Volpe Alcorn team, Paroff team, Melissa Taylor team, and the Campbell team, and the Michael Tuft team. Yes, great job, everyone. Congratulations to you on your on a great month of February. And I can tell you, March is looking pretty amazing as well. Very good. Very good. Okay, I'm gonna invite Charity to come on screen with us and unmute our microphone here. And let me just highlight this here, Charity. And here we go, add spotlight, perfect. And many of you know Charity, and she's been with us now since around September, October. And a lot of us has used Charity and her mortgage broker skills to support our clients for a long time. And Marv thought it would be great to have her come in and support us on a more formal basis. And I can tell you, she's been doing that at a tremendous high value. So we appreciate that, Charity. And love to just sit down and ask you a few questions to not only get to know you better, but more importantly, how you're impacting our clients' lives. So how you doing today, Charity?
I'm great, Gary. Thank you so much for having me. It's always nice to be here and share with everybody kind of what we do and how we are here to help the agents and help their clients.
Yeah, very good. And it's not just you. Like I know Haley is here, and you do have a team. So talk to us real quick about the team members that you have in place to support us and our clients.
Yeah, exactly. We do have a team. Haley is my right-hand man, even though she's a woman. She's my assistant, so she is busy keeping me on task with all of my calls and all of my appointments and everything like that. However, she has moved to an agent role as well, so she has started brokering some deals, which is super exciting. We also have Fong and Miranda, who are also licensed agents who have joined us. They're mainly staffing the Aurora office, but as you can tell, depending on appointments or meetings, you will see us all kind of in and around both buildings, but we have grown exponentially and we are very excited, and we are getting the support from you, which is why the team has grown to 4 of us now, and happy to be here.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so let's get into some mortgage broker questions, stuff
Sure.
that you're really awesome at. And a lot of us, we have used mortgage brokers in the past, and perhaps many of us haven't, and maybe they just haven't had the opportunity to understand the reason why, perhaps. So could you highlight a couple of reasons why there is a great benefit of using a mortgage broker such as yourselves?
Yeah, so basically the best benefit is that we have access to many different lenders, including the banks, mono lenders, credit unions, private lenders. So we are not just limited to a few products. We have lots of products, and because as a mortgage broker we are paid by the lenders, we have no real loyalty to any of their products. Our personal assessment of the client's situation as well as their goals helps cater to whatever product that they need that's specific to their goals moving forward. In saying that, because of these products, and that we have better rates, we have better terms, and we're able to figure out what the maximum qualifying is for the borrower. So depending on what they do for a living, or what their financial situation is, or their personal situation, maybe they're self-employed, maybe they've just had a baby, maybe they started a new business. Based on all of those things, we look in depth at their situation, assess their situation, and find a proper, suitable mortgage product for them. Also, as a mortgage broker, we also educate the clients. So we educate them on their options that are available. For example, what Scotiabank might give them as a mortgage, what I can get them from a mono lender, what I can get them from a credit union. And it allows them to be educated and involved in making the decision as to what mortgage is going to be best for them. And it also helps them feel at ease and feel important in making the decision for their investment, which is their largest investment usually that they're going to make.
Fantastic. So you answered quite a bit there, which we really appreciate. And a couple follow-up questions to that, Charity, is,
Sure.
How do you choose, what lender a buyer should work with? What's that conversation look like? Or do you just know after talking to What does that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you know, we don't always just know. So basically, it looks like taking an assessment and a consultation with the buyer as to what is their priorities for this home, what are their goals for this home, are they buying it? Is this their forever home? Are they buying it to renovate it and flip it? Or is this, you know, are they planning on having any children? How long do they think they're staying in this home? Maybe they're going to need to pull equity back out of this home. We do a very in-depth assessment of their situation, and then through that, sometimes the answer to what is the best mortgage is very clear. Again, in terms of different rates as well. Some clients are extremely rate sensitive, and all they really care about is getting the lowest payment possible. And other clients are, you know, again, their priorities are making sure that they can sell this house in a year and get out of this mortgage and make a good profit on their sale. So they don't want to be stuck in a product that might have heavy penalties and things of that nature. So we go over all of those things, and then we look at, okay, well, this mortgage might be available, this might be available, what are the pros and cons, and then summarizing that based on what you've told me, what are your priorities, what your goals for this home, this is the best mortgage that I feel is best for you, what do you think? And then we have that discussion, and then ultimately, like I said, I help them decide. A lot of times they do, you know, go with my expertise, because as a mortgage broker, essentially I am the expert in mortgages, and I provide that to them, and then they make the final decision as to what they feel is best.
So, and to summarize that a little bit, Charity, similar the same way that we would sit down with our clients and do a needs analysis of, you know, what that next home looks like. You're doing kind of the similar thing, but from the financial piece. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, good. And that's such an important conversation, because that, you know, whether you're looking to buy, you know, to move up, move down, or even from an investment perspective, Charity, I'm sure, you know, I have a client that wants to buy an investment property. That's amazing. And I'm sure you asked this, the follow-up question should be, now, is it just one, or do you want to buy a couple? Because that can look a lot different on how you place that mortgage, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure, 100%, exactly. Even in people, like, what is their long-term real estate goals? Some people, you know, just want to own one big, beautiful home. Other people want to own 4 homes. They want to build some equity. They want to pull equity and buy another home. And sometimes they don't even know that they can do these things. And through these types of conversations that we have with them, again, by exploring all of their options, we can teach them and educate them how we can make their mortgage make them money and work for them and gain wealth through real estate.
I like that. Use their mortgage to help them, support them, to make them money. That's the key. And many of you know my background. I've done that over and over again, and it's provided tremendous amount of new opportunities for me and my family, for sure. So, okay, let's kind of get back to the mortgage piece and the kind of the current lending environment and what have you. Okay, what does the pre-approval process look like now in this hot market?
Yes. So basically, you know, as soon as we connect with the client, we try to introduce ourselves and get the client comfortable with moving to the process of taking an application. Again, because time is sensitive and of the essence, we start processing the application and asking for the documentation simultaneously. So we will go ahead and take the application, start running the initial math while we're asking the clients to collect the documents that we require, to look at them from a lender's point of view. Simultaneously, while both of these things are happening, we have a general idea of numbers. As soon as we get the documentation, and the documentation I'm requesting mostly to make this assessment is the income documentation and the verification. We compare the two from the application to the documentation, and then we give the clients a general assessment of, this is what it kind of looks like, this is what your approval amounts look like. Again, there's different rates and different products, so we give them a general guideline of what we're kind of looking at. And then from there, we send it to the lender for a formal pre-approval. Once the pre-approval comes back, which is generally pretty quick because pre-approvals aren't very underwritten from the lenders, they're underwritten from the broker. We let the client know that they are pre-approved for X amount. I always leave a little buffer room in that because a lot of times with this market, clients, you tell them they're pre-approved for something and they end up buying a little bit more. So that caveat is explained to them that this is a general amount. There is some wiggle room depending on property taxes and things like that. And that pre-approval lasts 120 days.
120 days. Perfect. I'm glad you said that. And fast forward, I've got a client that just got an accepted offer as a buyer, and it's a firm offer, so there's no conditions from a financing perspective. What does that look like from an approval position from your perspective?
Yeah, so because we do so much work at the pre-approval process, when we convert it over to a formal approval, that's generally a very fast process in terms of what we're doing on my end. Now, given the market and the demands that it is a very hot market, deals are kind of being held up in underwriting between 1 to 3 business days. If I have some pressure, if it's a quick close or something like that, we do have the deals can be bumped for priority. Now, in having said that, if the deal is more complex, some self-employed things where we're auditing a couple of years of business financials, or if the lender has a really hot promotion going on, that could possibly take underwriting from 5 to 7 business days. Sometimes what I do to protect the client is I might send it to a lender where
a question and answer format.
someone's
Gotta
speaking in
mute Marvin.
Lori, take care of Marvin there for us.
there. So
Thank you.
Apologies.
Yeah, all good, Marv.
I might send the deal to a lender where I can have an approval sent back to me quickly while working on a second approval in the background that I know is probably going to be the approval the client's going to go for. For example, we have a lender right now that has a great promotion that's basically untouchable anywhere else, but because it's so great and everyone's going for it, we're not able to get those commitments back for, again, that 5 to 7 business days. So to protect the client, I'm sending it somewhere saying, yes, we know you're approved. We have this offer for you, but I know you really want this best rate and this product, which is coming.
Fantastic. And Charity, kind of in closing, everyone wants to know what the current rates are, and give us that quick, high level view of, as we're talking to our clients, what can we share with our clients from a rate perspective?
Yeah, well, the great news is that, rates did rise slightly there a couple of weeks ago, but for the most part, rates are hovering in and around 2%. So that's still a historically low record rate. In saying that, we do have promotions, that are anywhere for the 5-year fixed between 1.69 and 2.29. So that's kind of like I said, there is a spread there, but to make up for the difference in the rise in rates, a couple of our lenders have come out with a 3-year promotion. The rate is 1.59. It's a fixed rate, so that is very appealing because it looks like the rates how they were, a couple of weeks ago before the rise. The 1-year rate right now seems to be the most expensive, which again is coming in around 2.5. So it's really not that expensive at all, really. And then our best rates, of course, are our variable rates because they didn't rise, and they're coming in around 1.5, 1.4, give or take the product that we put the client in.
That still blows my mind. And I know this is kind of not really a blanket question, and perhaps this not specific, but for like a home equity line of credit, what rates are we looking at there?
Yeah, so again, I can't, there's a general spread for that, Gary, depending on how much the home equity ends up being. But sometimes, if it's a very large home equity line of credit, we are having the lenders able to reduce the rates. Generally speaking, a home equity line of credit is prime plus 1. So right now, prime is 2.45. That would bring that equity line of credit to 3.45. But if you're taking a large line of credit and the banks are becoming very competitive, we can get that down to possibly half a point. So prime plus 0.5, which brings the rate to 2.95. And if you're willing to pull the money on the HELOC, Scotiabank is making exceptions right now and giving HELOCs out at prime. So that would be 2.45.
That is, I keep seeing some people shaking their heads because they're in disbelief, especially Christine. So think about this. And we always talk about generating wealth and teaching wealth and how to do that. And I know Marvin is very, he loves to teach this in a sense to, if I can borrow at, we'll call it 3.5 at 4% and lend out at 10 to 12% on, a second mortgage that is something secure and something that I believe in as real estate, you're getting 6% of free money in a sense or more. And that is a great opportunity for yourselves and to teach your clients that. And of course, to use Charity and her services. Charity, we appreciate you coming on line with us today and doing this. I like this format because I get to ask you questions.
I like this format better too. And I'm sorry, I apologize. I had some noise. I'm switching between 2 office meetings at the same time. So I thought until that moment I was doing it so well, but I apologize, my background noise, because unfortunately this month and last month, the 2 office meetings ended up landing on the same day. So I was trying to manage a whole bunch of things. And I was over on the other meeting, and there's a lady talking about a TELUS plan. I'm like, okay, good. She's still around the knots. Greg can come back here, but it's been very tricky. So I'm sorry about that. But what I wanted to mention is that there was an article, and I want to say it was in the Toronto Star in the last week or so. And the headline was, "Congratulations, now your house makes more than you do."
Right.
And I thought it was really cool, right? And I think that to your point, both you, Gary, and Charity, um, I know it goes against everything that we have been inherently taught. Pay down the mortgage, pay off the mortgage, especially if you have, a family that has, let's say, immigrated to Canada, and when they typically did, interest rates were 12, 15, 18, 20%. I know I'm dating myself, and my first mortgage was 13%. I remember it. So this is unheard of. It's an opportunity. It's kind of like when the Canada US dollar was on par. We should have bought American money, right? Or more of it. This is an opportunity that we're going to look back on and regret if we don't take advantage of it. So I think it's a great time to leverage. You've worked hard for your home. It's now time for your home to work hard for you. And if you can teach that to your clientele and have Charity maybe involved in some of your presentations, like investor presentations, there's a lot of business to be generated out of this unique time in history, right? So great job. I like this format a lot better too. It was really good. Thank you.
Very
Thank
good, Charity. Yeah, all the best to you. Thank you so much.
me. Have a great day, guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Christine Tonis, over to you, my friend.
All right. Thanks, Gary. Okay, we've got a lot to talk about. So I started this week thinking that it would be a light week for broker bits. Not so much. So if we could start on the first slide. Okay, so last month we talked, there were frequently asked questions about rentals, and we really focused on that. And, some of the questions were, can we ensure vacant possession? Can tenants be evicted now during COVID? What forms to serve the tenants, and can tenants refuse showings? All the things that has been going on in the market. And the reason I mentioned this again is, first of all, it's still going on in the market and people have a lot of concerns around it. But I want to advise you, Gary, if you could switch to the next slide, to go back. If you miss these meetings, you're missing a lot. You're missing important information for your business. So go back onto mykwrc.ca, and the virtual team meetings are recorded there. So if you have missed one of those, that's some of the information you've missed. You should take time, go back and take a look at it. Or if you just want to clarify some of the points that we're taking. Next, please. So today, show me the money. It's all about deposits. So deposits, again, have become a huge concern. And we're going to talk about some of the things that we're doing to alleviate those concerns, or at least, puts in some checks and measures so that you can protect yourself, your business, and mostly your clients. Next, please. Okay. So one of the great things we have that I would say we might be the only brokerage is we have four options for people to supply deposits. So getting a deposit to us is not hard. There's a direct deposit. Certainly we accept wire transfers. They can go old school and deliver a bank draft to our offices. All three of our offices can accept those. And what's new and really quite exciting, and thanks to Stephanie, our MCA, who set this up, is you can send the money, or they can send the money to us via pay as a payee through online banking. What that means is, if you go onto your online banking like you normally would, and you want to pay your hydro bill, or you wanted to pay your 407 bill, you would type in 407, you'd put in your account number, and you could pay that way. So right now, up to $50,000, we can accept a deposit for transaction that way. That's huge, right? So when you think of COVID and people maybe that means on a Sunday too, like that doesn't stop anything. So how do you get that information to your client? Next, please. So you're going to have the listing, you're going to have the cooperating brokerage. Go to our website, and on the top right, you'll see trust account deposit info. And that is how they link to our secure system, which will give them all 4 options and how to do them. And the reason we have protected this is because, and even Treb had this in a warning lately. We had discovered it almost a year ago, but Treb just brought this to light recently, is that sometimes when we would send out an email to the cooperating brokerage on how to send the funds, the email would be intercepted and they would get a second email that told them to send the money to a different account. Now, can you imagine if clients lost their deposit because they sent 100,000 to a different account? So, you know, Mary has encrypted this website when they log onto there. Gary, do you have a video on how they can do that?
I do.
You can show that. So when they hit that button, they can go in, type in their names. So this is the other realtor, the cooperating realtor, their email information. They will get sent a text. Property address. Here's the disclaimer. And it goes up to that date. Perfect, thank you.
Sorry, Christine, the music was playing over there, but yeah, as a co-op agent from another brokerage, that's simply how I would put in the information to retrieve this page here, and it is tremendously easy. You get that text right on your phone or computer, depending on how you have it set up, and you get this information as seen in front of you.
So I would highly recommend test drive the system. Go on and log in yourself so you get the firsthand experience of it. And when you're doing that, you know, put in a name that obviously Hillary knows, like Superman or something, so that Hillary knows that we're actually not expecting a deposit from Superman, and test the system. The best way to relay something is to try it yourself. I did it first thing this morning, again, just to kind of refresh myself to see how easy it was. I got that text back from our website within seconds, then logged on and was able to create the form to send. So this, you send your buyer's agent to our website. So I want to point out another benefit from that. They don't have anything like this. And if you're looking to expand your business and to maybe expand your team or get someone in your downline so that you can be a part of profit share, not a bad way to do it. Send them to our actual website where they get to see how robust it is, the information we provide, the protection that we provide for our clients. It's unparalleled. So next slide, please. So about a year ago, we started to identify that we were not receiving deposits and how devastating that was. And very often it would happen that you had a listing and you were in multiples and you picked, you know, what you perceived, or your clients picked what you perceived to be the best offer. Typically it might be a little bit higher or more robust or deposit, or maybe even have a better closing date, but for whatever reason you chose it, they signed it, everybody agreed, and then the next day, no deposit is received. And it kills the momentum. It's so heartbreaking for your clients. So we've been looking at ways to, how do you safeguard your client? How do you safeguard the transaction? How do you protect everyone involved? And, you know, a year ago, Marvin came up with a realtor covenant, and that's available also on my KWRC under our forms. And what the realtor covenant said was, as a realtor, I have not put in any other offers for this client on other properties that they can't fulfill on, right? Anybody can buy a bunch of properties if they have the money. But what we suspect was happening and what got confirmed was that an agent would put out, say, 3 or 4 offers. They maybe got 2 accepted, and then they cherry pick, and maybe yours wasn't the one that they would actually send the deposit to. So it's entirely devastating. So Marvin yesterday with Andrew and I really looked at how can we take this to the next level? Can we safeguard our clients even further? You know, part of what we talked about last week was, or last month rather, was, you know, ask more questions, ask about their equity, what they have, creep their current house, maybe do a CMA on their house and really see, do they potentially have the equity to buy this home? That may not be enough. So if you could just go on to the next one. Here's what Marvin created yesterday. No deposit received. We now have a new Schedule B 2021. I want to tell you that, you know, every once in a while we get pushback that our Schedule B is long and it's really robust. I cannot tell you how many deals and how many times we have safeguarded people, including our own agents and our brokerage, through this Schedule B. And, you know, Marvin started creating this and adding to it years ago. And I got to tell you, some of these clauses you'll see verbatim that were taken from our Schedule B and put it to other brokerages. And I'd also like to say, you know, sometimes I get a call from agents who say, you know, I'm putting in an offer. They don't have a Schedule B. So can you imagine how vulnerable they leave their clients and their brokerage and their realtors? We feel that a Schedule B is an ever-evolving thing. So as things happen, we look at it, we examine it. Marvin is a master at creating clauses, I would say probably better than any lawyer that I've seen or experienced. You'll notice that in our Schedule B, there's also a COVID clause protecting us. So we've managed to, you know, condense this. And to this now we have, you know, we always had information about our deposits. There are now 5 clauses about deposits. And this is actually revolutionary, what Marvin has created here. So I want you to know that it'll be emailed out to you, the new Schedule B. It's also already posted on all our command listing sites and also downloaded already into my kwrc.ca. I've sent it off to Korea to make it part of our web forms, but they typically can take months to do that. So make the effort to actually use this. And we're going to show you now, next slide, please, what these 2 clauses are. So B2, the buyer hereby covenants and represents that at the time of submission of this agreement of purchase and sale, the buyer has not submitted offers on multiple properties at the same time, nor is the buyer party to other offers on other properties that are currently accepted and not mutually released, or that are irrevocable for acceptance, and the buyer further covenants not to be party to any of the aforementioned during the currency of this offer, without the buyer's full intent or ability to fulfill their obligations on submitted offers, which includes, but not necessarily limited to, the submission of the deposit as described herein. B3, further, the buyer acknowledges that by execution of this agreement of purchase and sale, they are creating a binding agreement, whether or not they have submitted the deposit, and that they are under strict obligation to remit the deposit as per the deposit requirements and timeline contained herein, failing which the parties to this agreement irrevocably acknowledge and agree that the seller shall be at liberty to offer the property for sale without the requirement for a mutual release, and shall also be at liberty to sell the property to another party without the requirement for a mutual release. Noting that, notwithstanding the aforementioned, failure to remit the deposit as specified in herein may still be deemed as an anticipatory breach of the agreement of purchase and sale, with the seller reserving the right to seek damages and any other remedies available to them. That is a really, really powerful clause. So giving you the freedom to go right back to market. Now, I would always say there's the little notation above. You should always direct your client to seek legal advice. You know, we are not lawyers. These are trying times. People are doing awfully weird things with offers. You know, we encourage you to read every offer with absolute scrutiny. but these are two incredibly powerful clauses. Marvin, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Sure. So first of all, it took a lot longer than I thought to sort of sum up the two clauses. What we're looking to achieve is basically this. The first one is just the realtor covenant form condensed into one clause. They're just saying, look, we're not playing games where we have multiple offers on multiple properties at the same time, without the true intent and ability to fulfill our obligations under all of those existing offers. That's pretty straightforward. What's really interesting with the second part, though, is it brings to their attention at the forefront of this agreement. See, people seem to think that the consideration is the deposit. It is not. The consideration is the signature. The deposit is a sign of good faith. So it shows them, however, that they are creating a binding agreement the moment they sign the document, whether or not they've submitted the deposit. And then what's been happening a lot is that when they're playing these sorts of games, they've been holding the mutual release ransom in order to kind of get out of the deal. So this now says, if you don't submit the deposit as you're obligated to do within the timeline and as per the agreement of purchase and sale, without the requirement for mutual release, we can put the property back on the market, sell it to somebody else, and we still reserve the right as seller to go after you for any damages that they may be entitled to. It's very powerful because now all of a sudden we're not held ransom by people doing that. And it will immediately flush out if someone is doing that, assuming they even read the Schedule B. But even if they don't, here's the main point. Now we finally have something to go back on. These brokerages, these buyers that are doing this. This is still happening as recently as yesterday, right? So this is going to help.
Yeah, I think these are probably the most powerful set of clauses I've seen inserted in any Schedule B. And I think it will shock people when they actually take the time to read them. But, I want to also point out that as realtors, if you're not protecting your client, you're exposing yourself to liability. So if the market takes a sudden turn and, you had multiple offers, they've now disappeared, everybody's gone and bought something else, and you're left with a client with no deposit, now you have to lower the price, you could be liable. This actually protects you as well. It shows that you have taken the steps necessary to protect your client, the transaction. So that's powerful. Thanks, Marvin, for putting that together. Next slide, please. Okay, where can you find that? So I did say that it is on command, but also if you go to mykwrc.ca, under the broker tab, under forms, we've inserted the new Schedule B. Again, it will be emailed out to you. RICO has a requirement that you use current forms. It's not a suggestion, it's a requirement. That's also a brokerage requirement. We want to make sure. And our frontline staff is phenomenal. They've already gone into all the listings that were posted and uploaded the new Schedule B. So you're protected. Next slide, please. So, we talk a lot about FINTRAC. We talk a lot about RICO. And RICO scares everyone. FINTRAC's, to me, scarier. So this just, I get notifications from FINTRAC. This just came out that this brokerage, Park Georgia Realty in BC, was fined $66,742.50 for violation of FINTRAC. And a lot of it was based on not filling out the forms, not filling them out correctly, not reporting. I think BC has a lot of areas that are questionable. We don't have that or don't have as many, but regardless, our brokerage takes great pride in providing you with training, making sure the training is done, that things are recorded. Don't forget on the TIS, there's a spot where it says, have you asked the client if they've done a transaction with us in the last 5 years? Make sure that gets ticked off. But, not to forget FINTRAC, please be vigilant about this. And I gotta say kudos to everyone because, the training we put out, we have now 100% that have taken that training or have done it on RICO. So very often when you go to update now, there's a new RICO update that has the FINTRAC element to it. So make sure you take that. You have to take the courses anyway. So if you can do that. Next slide, please. Okay, so just a little bit of housekeeping. Registers the offer you receive. You can do that so easily by uploading it on Broker Bay. It takes seconds. If you're in multiple offers, it automatically sends out notices to everyone. Again, that keeps you safe. Send your showing instructions to the front desk. Don't revise the instructions without letting the front desk know, or let them do it for you. They're all too happy to do that. When you're registering an offer on our website, so offers you receive on your listing, either put up the 801 or the APS to Broker Bay. And make sure that your offer presentation date and the remarks about that match in Broker Bay what's on the MLS listing. And next slide. Also, email the agents that have shown your listing of recent development or status changes. So, you know, if you're changing an acceptance date, you're extending it, whatever you're doing, make sure that the front desk knows Broker Bay is uploaded, as well as your MLS. And, you know, we talked recently in the last episode of the outlining your expectations when you're registering offers and options for sending deposit checks. Put that all in a lovely email. There's lots of different ways of doing that. So make sure you do that. The more clarity, the better. And all three locations are able to register offers, report sold, conditional firm. Rico, Trev, and I've added court. So I want to just tell you a little bit about a pre-hearing that we had a few days ago. So one, I want to commend our agent. She had a client who circumvented the BRA by putting the property in her son's name specifically to circumvent our realtor. And our realtor took her to court. So it's a brave thing. It's not an inexpensive thing. I commend her for everything she did. Her paperwork was in absolute order, but we did learn one thing, and I want to highlight that to you. Next slide. We are Keller Williams Realty Centers, not Inc., not limited. Make sure that that is correct on your BRA, your listing agreement, and in the payable to section. So, you know, every time we go through Trev or Rico or now court, great things happen. We learn a lot. And, you know, the brilliant thing about going through these things is when you have a lawsuit against you, we have phenomenal lawyers at Rico. They are really good. They look after our best interests. They know everything about a deal inside out, every clause, every form. They have case history they refer to. They're very, very impressive. So you're well protected, and that's what your Rico insurance covers. And to see these two lawyers go to work on the other side was really impressive. So kudos to our agent who represented herself impeccably, who held up to her own standards and held up to our industry. You know, people can't circumvent us. You know, she wrote several offers for them, but they were not very nice people. So kudos to her. And we hope to share when we go to court a solid win. As you know, it's very much like the landlord and tenant board court in that perhaps it should just be called the landlord board or the tenant board, because landlords don't have a whole lot of rights in it. And unfortunately in court, they tend to lean very heavily on the poor buyer or seller. And, you know, the mean old real estate agent doesn't get quite the same respect they probably have earned. So, and I think that is my last slide. No, just want to remind you of the Broker Advisory Council. That number, we've got phenomenal people, well-skilled, all brokers in their own right, all have been through training, all participate in things like recreating our new Schedule B. So these are great resources. Use that phone number. It's after hours and weekends. If you call it during the week, it comes to me, which is great. I'm all too happy to help. That's
very good. Excuse me. Thank you, Christine.
You're welcome.
Always great insight there. And if I know we're a little bit over time, and if you indulge me for a few minutes, I'm going to give you the heartbeat of the market and what we're seeing. And again, use this information to educate not only yourself, but your clients. And I know, I said it earlier, the more that you can get into and understand the numbers yourself and do some market research, the better it is going to be for you when you're talking to your buyer or your seller. And trust me, you will be surprised at some of the information you do remember. So let's take a couple of quick moments here and look at some of the stats. Excuse me. York Region Shrub units sold, all property types, and we're going to be looking over the last 3 months. And I do have some information for March, but we'll get to that in just a moment. So the blue is what was listed. The red is what sold. Obviously, we felt this in the month of December. You can see that we just had 1,068 homes listed, yet we had 1,364 sold. That becomes a supply and demand issue. I don't need to get into the economics around that. We all understand that. Moving on to the month of January, that balance seemed to shift a little bit, and a lot more listings came to market as it always does in January. And I think that should not be a surprise there. And again, this is all property types across York Region. And then in February, it looks like this. So even more of a balance. And we know that when looking at a market, a true balanced market, meaning the number of listings that are available to the number of homes that are selling, is about 3 months. And I can't remember for many, many years where we've actually had that. Usually I think on average, we're probably at about 2.5 months worth of inventory on a grander scale. But use this information to enlighten especially your buyers, right? From this perspective. Okay, moving on. And I should note, as you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, these stats, I retrieved all these stats on the 22nd on Monday. So if you go look today, they might be adjusted a little bit, and that's okay. This is interesting. So as you can see in the bottom, I've added how many units sold last year in those months and how many came to market. And you can see the numbers here. So I was a little bit surprised by this. I'm just going to move some of these windows around so I can see these numbers. You can see last year that we actually sold less units in all months, and yet the common conversations I hear people having is there's not enough inventory, not enough inventory. Well, compared to last year, actually, there's quite a bit of inventory. There's just a lot more buyers. So that demand is pent up buying, pent up buyers. So I thought that was really interesting. Okay, now let's look at the average price. And this is really, really interesting. And I don't think this is of any surprise over York Region. I'm not going to land or stay long on this slide, but in December, we were at $1,085,000. And now in February, we're at 1.2, again, all property types in York Region. Here's what it looks like for the month of March. Up to the other day, 1.279. So it's increased about another 79,000 across the York Region. So very, very interesting. Now, the next couple of slides, we're going to look a little bit more local. And I know I'm speaking fast, but I want to get through this and make sure that you get on to your day. But these slides will all be available afterwards. Okay, so we have, this is for new market here. And I thought this was really, really interesting. This is over the last 5 years. And we know over the last number of years that we've been seeing increases. So we have now surpassed 2017 numbers. So I know a lot of us were helping clients buy homes in 2017, and they thought, oh my gosh, when am I ever going to see that value come back? Well, it is certainly back. Now you can look at this a couple of different ways, right? And it's all how we interpret it. And we want to look at this and look for the positive stories that we can share with our clients. And the one here is, most, I would say, and we all know this, most homeowners stay in their home from 7 to about 12 years, right? So if we kind of take the middle and look at that, what's that 10-year gap look like? And if you were to buy the same detached home 10 years ago in 2011, you can see it's at 445 is that average price. Fast forward to this year. Remember, real estate is best looked at a long-term perspective. Fast forward to this year, it's gone up almost almost the 3 times, which is pretty incredible, right?
Gary, can I jump in for a sec? This is a great chart. And I just did some math real quick. I've never seen the chart until now, but I love this stuff. Especially if there's a dollar sign in front of the number, I'm really quick to figure it out. So 2017, to your point, everyone was like, oh my gosh, it's like, you know, we've overpaid and all that stuff. So what we've learned is that real estate is a get rich slow scheme, not a get rich quick scheme. And that on average, real estate goes up 5% compounded per year. So I took 1,144,180 to 1,123,6311. It's up 9% between 2021 and 2017. That's almost on track to be 5% compounded over that what was considered to be a big blip in the market. And certainly if you take the 2011 number of 445,751 and bring it to today's number in 2021, you'll see it far exceeds the 5% compounded number. So we are like, it always corrects, self-corrects. And that seems to be the trajectory, 5% compounded increase per year. So those people that bought in 2017 that maybe didn't feel so good, you can call them up now and show them this, right, Gary? I mean, that's a pretty big thing.
Yeah, well, that's such a great point too. And then going back to what we were talking about with Charity is using the equity in your home to use and to leverage that. You know, if you've owned your home for 10 years, in this example, 10 years or more, you should have a tremendous amount of equity that's perhaps untapped. And now let's get that home working for you using some of, you know, the investment strategies that we've talked about in the past, for sure.
Sure.
Good. Now, where do we go next here? Okay, next. This is for our 3 main areas that we trade in. And Terry, I will start to do some research for you out there. You can count on me for that out in the Wyerton area. And this again is over the last 3 months, January, February, and March. You can see the number of units that have sold in those areas. I don't think that's of any surprise to anybody. However, it's always good to know, okay, these numbers, you know, what are we relating them to? And that's to the new listings that come on. So, you know, we were basically selling out in the month of, the month of November, December in Newmarket. And then in January, it started to balance out somewhat. And then we don't have the exact numbers for March. And that's why I've used the active listing. So we've already had, as of Monday, Marv, 187 units sell, and there's 200 units that are available for sale. So we're still seeing some tremendous numbers there in Newmarket. And that'll be the trend across Aurora and in Georgina as well. We're starting to see a little bit of balance come back, or inventory come back, if you will, for buyers to actually have some choices. Now, we're still seeing it a hot market. I know if you talk to our listing agents, they would say, you know, we're still seeing tremendous amount of showings, even though that showing number is down compared to, say, January, but on an average, it's pretty decent. And yes, perhaps we're not getting the 10 or more offers. Maybe it's 2 to 5 at the moment. However, there's still a demand for our properties in these areas. Moving on, I think this is my last slide here on this. And these are the units that sold in these areas for the last couple of months. And I wanted to point out, you know, the active listings that were available each month. And obviously that's going to drive up price. More importantly, what listings came on the market during that time. So this is a lot of information, and feel free to reach out to me to get some clarity on this, or if you had some specific questions, I'm always happy to answer them and to show you how I do pull these numbers in. Because as I said, the moment that you start to do it, you start remembering these numbers like the back of your hand, and that goes a tremendous way. And I think this is where we need to end. And, you know, where do we go from here? Marv said it best. We do buy for the long term, right? It is not that get rich quick scheme real estate. It is over that long period of time. And I think back of some of the investment properties that I've owned, it's over 10 years now. And boy, do I wish I could go back and buy them at that rate I did 10 years ago. Well, most likely I'm going to have that same conversation with myself of properties I'm looking at today. Right. And there are always opportunities to purchase real estate and to educate our clients. And you're right, maybe values have gone up for them where it's maybe out of reach to move up to that next house, and look at it a different way. Come to the table with some different ideas for them. Maybe it is a refinance so they can invest, and whether that's buying another property or investing into second mortgages or what have you. We need to present ourselves as the local area expert. And that doesn't mean real estate, 101 bricks and mortar. Come to the table with guidance and with wisdom and with opportunities for them. That is how you present yourself as the expert, right? And there is some great opportunities in and around this area, and use these stats to educate your clients. That's all I got to say on that. Marvin, do you want to summarize some of that for us, or?
I think that's perfect. That's
Perfect.
exactly.
Good. Okay. Yeah, we mentioned this earlier. We are live every Tuesday, Jen and I, and Jen does have some amazing insight. I just love getting into these conversations with Jen, because the fact that she's working with our agents, from, our brand new agents to our very successful agents, she gets tremendous insight in their business as well. And we get to talk about that on Tuesdays, which is fantastic. And if you haven't listened to or watched Tuesday's episode from this week, we got to spend about 15 minutes with Terry Hastings. And if you want to learn how somebody took already an amazing business and basically tripled, almost quadrupled that in less than 3 years, that is a tremendous story. So I do urge you to go listen to Terry's story there for sure. Yeah. And of course, we are on your favorite podcast player. But I want to get into this, and we'll end in just a moment here. Next Wednesday, we have Lucy. We did move the date, so I want to make sure that's highlighted. It was supposed to be tomorrow. We moved it to next Wednesday. Lucy Parker is a KW realtor from Dubai, and I've got to talk with her many times. She is an amazing self-promoter, self-marketer, and of course she uses social media to do that. And so she's hosting a class next week, Intro to the Psychology of Social Media. I'm going to play a quick short video, 1-minute video, and in it, Lucy will tell you in Dubai, they cannot door knock, they cannot send out flyers, so they have to do things differently there, and listen to how she does it there.
Keller Williams Integrity, Keller Williams Realty. This is Lucy here from Keller Williams Dubai, and I'm so excited to be coming to your market centers to teach my social media psychology of the content that you use. And that is nothing more than the language that you speak to your clients in the social media environment. So what am I going to help you with? Well, imagine if you could attract leads. Imagine if you could attract sellers and buyers and affiliate marketers and even other agents to join you and do business with you without spending any money at all. Imagine, because you see, in Dubai, we haven't been allowed to cold call. We haven't been allowed to use flyers. So we've had to think of a different way. So for the last 3 years, all of my real estate sales have come from my social media, from videos, from LinkedIn, from Facebook, and more recently from Instagram and YouTube. So I'm going to share with you the content that you need to be using to attract clients to you, the psychology of what people want to see.
Very good. So it got cut off. That's okay. You get the gist of it. Do tune in next week. I know the registration link is on our Facebook page and will be sent out. And do tune into that, because as you can tell, she has grown her business using social media. And she'll also tell you that she helps international buyers buy in Dubai. Buy in Dubai. Yeah, that makes sense. But however, she's going to teach us how we can leverage that on a local level here. So definitely tune into that next week. Very good. Well, that brings us to the end of our meeting. I know it's a little longer than usual. Thank you for staying around. Thank you to Scott Leroy. Thank you to Charity. Of course, thank you to Jen, Christine, and Marv, and everyone here for taking part. We'll look out for you online and in the office here. Everyone have an awesome day. Bye for now.